Hi everyone. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about guiding in technical objects. So when we are referring to guiding, we're referring to components in technical objects that allow for movement to occur. Now, anything that allows for parts to be moved would have the function of guiding. So if we're looking at the definition of guiding, it's basically the function of controlling the movement of one or more moving parts. So whenever we have a guiding control, we have motion in the object. Now we have three key types of guiding controls. Now, the first type of guiding is something called translational guiding. And when we're talking about translational guiding, we're talking about movement that is either going up and down or movement that is going side to side. Now, the second type of guiding is rotational guiding. And as that sounds, rotational guiding means basically movement that is going in a circle. And it doesn't actually matter if it's going clockwise or counterclockwise, if it's a full circle or a half circle. As long as it's in a rotational motion, this is considered rotational guiding. And the third type of guiding is something called helical guiding. Now, the key thing about helical guiding is a mix of translational and rotational at the same time. So it's basically when you are sliding and turning on your own axes at the same time. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go through each one of our guiding controls. So translational guiding, just like I basically said before, is whenever you have translational movements. So it's basically straight line movement, left, right, up, down. That would be considered in translational guiding. So examples, sliding door. So if we're looking at this example right here, the door is actually being slid on a horizontal axis from left to right. Same thing with the film cutter. Now, the key thing about translational guiding is we also need to describe the movement arrows. So when we're talking about translational guiding, the movement arrows of translational guiding would be this symbol to show that I have translational guiding in a horizontal motion. And if I'm talking about translational guiding in a vertical motion, it would be this. Now, because I have two arrows on both ends, it means I have translational motion going from left to right. So this would be bidirectional translational motion. Now, let's say my object only moved in one direction, so it would be your same direction motions, but it would only be in one particular direction. So if I have something like this, it means that I'm having unidirectional translational motion upwards. Something like this, unidirectional translational motion downwards, unidirectional to the right, unidirectional to the left. So the key thing about translational guiding is that translational guiding allows for translational motion to take place. And this can be bidirectional. So if we're looking at the sliding doors, is bidirectional, or the film cutter as well would be bidirectional, or I could have unidirectional translational motion. Okay, so rotational guiding, just like I mentioned before, is any object that allows for the guiding of rotational motion. So rotational motion being circular. Now the key thing with our circular motion, it doesn't actually have to be a complete circle. As long as it's in that circular path, it's considered rotational motion. So examples that we could have, things like tire axle, doorknob, and a hinge. So if we're looking at our tire axle, right, this would actually be rotating a complete 360 degrees. The doorknob would still have that rotation, and the same thing with the hinge. So in the rotation motion that we have right here is actually at our hinge in our laptop. Now, the symbol for rotational motion is basically circular motion or circuit motion. So either clockwise or counterclockwise. So this would be our symbols for rotational motion. The key thing is that we can see that our motion pathway is in a circular direction. Now our last type of guiding. All right, so helical guiding is the last type of guiding, and it's a combination of translational and rotational happening simultaneously. So helical motion is when I have an object that is sliding translationally and rotating on its own axes. So we actually see a lot of examples of this whenever we have a threaded screw. So we would see that in C-clamps, in corkscrews, and basically in threaded screw scenarios. So if you're looking at right over here, so in our little animation of our threaded screw, we actually see that while the head part is rotating, so this top part is rotating, my screw is actually going up and down. So to show that type of motion, so helical motion, the symbol for that motion is something that looks like this. Hold on. So this is actually our symbol for helical motion. So just right after this video, we actually have videos of individual guiding motions, so translational, rotational, and helical guiding, where you see those objects being moved in play. Hope this helps.